Coming to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is the Spit Sports Show. I asked last video near the start if this is rock bottom for the Vancouver Canucks. Well, they have now literally hit rock bottom in terms of the NHL standings. They are now last in both points and points percentage and wins and just about everything you want as a hockey team, the Canucks don't have. That's advanced stats, that's the most basic stats, that's individual players, that's basically everything in a nutshell that you don't want your franchise to be in the lead in, they're in the lead in, and everything you don't want them to be at the bottom at, they're at the bottom at. Um, it's easy at this point, and this is what a lot of media is going to do, and more so fans, if I'm being totally honest. It's easy to just say fire everybody because right now this franchise is going nowhere slowly, and things have not looked this dreary for the Canucks in a very long time. It feels like they are completely stuck in the mud. They're, first of all, not near good enough to be legitimate Stanley Cup contenders, fringe Stanley Cup contenders. Anything with contender in the sentence needs to be far away from the Vancouver Canucks. And they're, I know on paper, bad enough to be, the number one pick in the draft, but I keep going back to this. Like, they really shouldn't be. If you look at this roster top to bottom, when it's healthy, I see like the 17th best team in the NHL, like 17th to 21st. And that's where some of their advanced numbers had been before this just disaster of a streak has started over the past couple of weeks, where it really looks like the entire team is just done with the season, other than Jake DeBrusk. Shout out Jake DeBrusk. But it really seems like there is nowhere for this team to go. And it has led a lot of fans to start the discussions of what can they actually do? Because if you tank and rebuild, that means Hughes is gone. But if you try to stay competitive, how's that worked out so far? Again, it's gotten you nowhere slowly. I'm going to keep saying that line over and over again because it's what's happening. But what the conversation comes back to is, here's what I would do if I was managing the Canucks. So I'm going to do my own version, except mine is a bit more logistically filled out, not necessarily in terms of specifics for how these certain things will be executed, but as far as a general vision for the franchise, where they should be going from this point, December 10th on. Here's what I would do. If I was anointed into power, I've just been knighted by, I don't know, the city of Vancouver, Aquilini, or whoever. I want to start by taking a victory lap in my new position because I was way ahead of the curve that this was going to happen 2-3 years ago. I did not think they were going to be this bad before the season. I want to put that on record as well. I've had them at 90 plus points. Look how stupid I am. But I said 2-3 years ago that this was a train wreck waiting to happen. This core is not good enough to legitimately go on a deep playoff run, and they're not bad. And like, again, this is the worst spot for a franchise to be in any sport. We see it in football all the time, in basketball. Just this nowhere muggy middle where you suck, but you're not great. So you're just kind of there. It's not exciting for fans. It's not exciting for management because there's no real like forward-thinking plan to it. Everything about where the Canucks are just sucks. And they put themselves in this spot. Let's be totally honest. They've done it to themselves over and over again because of meddling ownership. But again, in this scenario, there is no meddling ownership. It is just me, myself, and I as the the manager of the Canucks. So what management is trying to do right now is they're trying to walk this middle line of getting younger because you're not good enough, but still competitive. You can maybe get a couple of playoff home games. Good for them. And, Quinn Hughes is probably going to leave if you don't. So you want to make the team younger, but still competitive, but you don't want to fully rebuild. Here is the thing about that. And this is a quote that I really, really like out of The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This is a quote from him. It is the misfortune of men with wide general interests that while they would like to have their finger in every pie, they have one in none. Think about who that describes, considering the entire context of this video so far. You can't have 7 different lanes going at the same time as a franchise. You can't be trying to get younger while also trying to maintain your veteran presence so you can compete. Like, those are 2 completely contradicting roads. You obviously have to trade everybody and just rebuild. You have to blow it up. There will never, ever be a better time for it than right now. First of all, this is a seller's market at the trade deadline. I can name 6 teams off the top of my head who are looking to get over that playoff hump that has been in front of them for, in some teams' cases, 4+ years, especially when Florida's hurt in the East this year. This is going to be a big year for a team like the Capitals to get over the hump. The Hurricanes, for sure. The Rangers are looking a bit better, although I still don't think they're very good. But you know what I mean. Like, the East is wide open this year. And it's not like the West has a bunch of juggernauts either. There are going to be plenty of teams, and Minnesota's another team, Dallas, coming out of reports that they are interested in Kiefer Sherwood and Connor Garland and some of the veterans who the Canucks said were available in that memo they released a couple weeks ago. Those kind of teams would also be interested in the other veterans that the Canucks could trade in this scenario. This draft is also just so good and so deep. Like, from everything I'm reading, I'm not going to pretend like I'm scouring elite prospects for 7 hours a day, but 4 like franchise type prospects at the top of this draft, followed by 2 fringe franchise guys, like certified first line talents, and then just a boatload of skill past the top 10, really all the way down to pick number 40. Like, this is going to be one of the better drafts that we've seen since that 2023, 2015, some of the historic drafts that we've seen over the past decade or so. So, blow up the team. And we are making the future about Braden Coots and Tom Willander, because Willander, whoever, Tommy, we're making the team around you, baby, because holy crap, this guy has been impressive with really nothing around him other than a odd game or here or there with Quinn Hughes at his side. This guy is one of the most fluid skaters, not just on the team, but in my opinion, in the entire NHL. He plays with unbelievable confidence as a guy who's only played a handful of games in the show so far. Right-handed shot, which I know every GM in the NFL gets a raging hard on for. And Braden Coots, we all know the stories about him coming out of training camp. He exceeded everybody's expectations. The only issue, guy is 18, he's not the biggest dude in the world, and he needs to get his confidence up in junior. All signs point to when he comes to the show, he's going to be a consistent point contributor on a top line. Build around those 2 guys, a right-handed shot defenseman, a two-way put up points kind of forward. That's your squad going forward. You're also going to have to hold on to Elias Pettersson because he's untradeable, and a couple of other guys who I'll mention in a bit, because as the Blackhawks found out, and the Sharks and a bunch of other teams, the Ducks, who have done rebuilds, it can't just be all young players. You have to have some sort of veteran presence in that locker room to establish a culture that these kids can rise up through. So, what veterans are we keeping and what veterans are we trading? Here are the veterans that we are trading. Quinn Hughes, we are absolutely trading you. Brock Besser, we have to trade you. DeBrusk, gone. Sherwood, gone. Myers, gone. Kane, please, for the love of God, go. They're all gone. Now, starting with Hughes, there are 1,000,001 different articles speculating about where he may go, the tidbits that he's dropped, the tone of his voice, his body language, perspirating to how he might feel emotionally. Way past my pay grade. I'm not a body language decipherer. Don't pretend to be. All I'll say about it is, the more I read into this whole situation, the less I think the Devils is a guarantee. New Jersey doesn't necessarily have the pieces that the Canucks are going to ideally want in a trade like this. They are going to want a center back at the very least, and Nico Hischier is just off the board. You go deeper into it, and there's a lot more complications than that. Dougie Hamilton would obviously be a good return, but why would you want that if you're the Canucks and you already have Filip Hronek in that exact role? But anyways, Carolina and San Jose were 2 other teams that I thought would be interesting for a Quinn Hughes trade. A Carolina package would probably revolve around Stankoven, which most fans wouldn't be all that excited about because I know his stock is kind of at a low point right now. But if you know the stock market, that's when you want to buy stocks, is when they're at their low point. And also, I think Stankoven has a bunch of talent that just hasn't been shown in a Carolina system that is very boggled down by forechecking and defense. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, it's just how they play. I also think that with Carolina's cap space right now being the way it is, they can take on Hughes really without shipping out anything. They have an abundance of space right now. It would be the easiest financially for the Canucks to work out. And San Jose with a package around Misa, I think that would just be fascinating. The Sharks really, really need some kind of cornerstone defenseman back there. And Quinn Hughes answers that call times a million. Michael Misa seems like he's just kind of another piece on that team. Could be interesting. The only veterans who I'd really want to hold on to from a Canucks perspective are Phil Hronek and Marcus Pettersson, because again, I want some defensive stability and some veteran locker room presence while the kids grow. I want to keep Garland for a forward veteran presence and his forecheck dog mentality, standing up for his guys. He'll just be a little pit bull and he'll give maximum effort. And again, I think he's a culture setting type. And like I mentioned, Patterson's kind of untradeable at this point. So those are the trades I would make. The next move I would make, and I cannot believe this hasn't happened already, is I would fire Adam Foote and hire Manny Malhotra. Foote has been a disaster this season. There's really no way around it. From how he's spoken to the media with these vague generalities and vanilla personality, and really just has nothing to say after losses, after wins. It's just all the same, oh, shucks, better luck next time bull crap that we've experienced from pretty much every Vancouver coach other than Rick Tocchet for the past 10 years. His defensive systems have failed drastically, especially considering how good this team looked defensively on paper before the season. Everything about this guy to me is just failed. So let's get him out of here and bring in a guy who we know is awesome with young players. It seems like from his time in the AHL with the Abbotsford Canucks that Manny Malhotra has a unique ability to connect with players and get the best out of them. Like, I could not believe how well Linus Karlsson was playing last year during their playoff run. Max Sasson looked like the Connor McDavid of the AHL. Arshdeep Bains looked like a legitimate first line power forward. I would hire him on the spot. You don't want to let him out of the organization. And I think he's the perfect fit for this rebuild that is happening in this unique scenario. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm taking $20 million and I'm building an actual practice facility. Being the only franchise in North America without being the only franchise in North America without a practice facility is a blight on not just the team, but also on this city. And I love this city so much, and I want it to be great. And the fact that Vancouver, British Columbia does not have a hockey practice facility for their professional hockey team, and the Columbus Blue Jackets do, just really irritates me to no end. I've lost sleep over this. I understand that the NHL makes the least amount of money out of the major four sports, but the Canucks are the 12th most valuable franchise in this league, according to CNBC. So if these teams, again, like I mentioned, Columbus and Florida before they were good, and these just I don't want to say irrelevant because that's mean, but like the New York Islanders, I know they have Schaefer now. I'm trying to think of Nashville has a practice facility and we don't. It's so Bush League. It's so below the means. It's so Aquilini, and it drives me crazy. Another thing that drives me crazy in what I would stop if I was the owner is Jim Rutherford press conferences. Sir, you are no longer allowed to be 50 meters around a recording microphone. He seems every time he's in front of a microphone, he just says a little bit more than you want him to say. We have Christmas coming up here. You always know that there's that uncle, or in my case, it was my grandpa actually, who would say just what was on everybody's mind, but everybody had the social courtesy to know, like, it's not something you say in a situation like that. Yeah, he'll say it anyways, just because he's that guy. Jim Rutherford is that guy at this point. He's got the old man syndrome where, he's fading into irrelevancy a little bit and he wants to hear himself talk. No more microphones directly from ownership. You're not allowed. I'd also put a cap on beers at $8 for a 12-ounce Rogers Arena. These are just kind of little things at this point. Get a partnership deal with Costco to make those hot dogs right by Rogers Arena a part of the pregame food options. I haven't, again, narrowed out the specifics of that, but I feel like there could be some kind of like, you get in early, watch warm up, get the seats packed, you get a free hot dog on top of that. It's a work in progress. But those are just a couple of things that I would do if I was the manager of the Vancouver Canucks. This is going nowhere slowly. And I'm going to keep saying that because it's just such an embarrassment for a Canadian passionate hockey franchise that our team is consistently dragged down into this abyss of nothingness. And trust me, one thing about Vancouver hockey fans, we are passionate. That's one. But we're also pretty smart because this is all we have. We've got the Canucks. The Whitecaps were buzzing, but they're not on the same level. The BC Lions certainly aren't. Shout out PWHL Vancouver. They're doing great things. But the Vancouver Canucks is what Vancouver sports runs on. And seeing the Canucks actually have a plan with a rebuild, have unique prospects that they're rebuilding around, a set plan for how to develop these prospects, some veterans around them, an exciting, young, fast hockey team led by a young former player, exciting coach, I think could be something that the Canucks fans cheer about and show up to games for, because at this point, ticket sales are plummeting. Student rates are at like $39 for a ticket. When is it going to get how is it going to get any worse? So what do you have to lose at this point, management? Just put all your eggs in the future basket, because the present basket is just so broken. It's just so broken. Trade most of the veterans, rebuild, try again. Coots, Willander, Garland for some excitement. Like, goodness gracious me, this franchise is in a bad spot, but it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't have to be, because they have the bones. They're such a sleeping giant of a franchise, in my opinion. But this owner just stays asleep. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, I want to know, if you were the GM of the Vancouver Canucks today, what would be some of the first moves that you made? I'm small enough as to where I can read all comments. Love doing so drop something down there. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed what you heard. Please subscribe if you really enjoyed it. The Spit Sports Show just hit over 400 subscribers. Big things happening on this channel. As always, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out. Love you guys.